I was in the middle of editing a video that I've been putting together for a while now, when it came out that TSM actually put together an academy team from an ex-Noble and ex-EZ5 team. Now you all know my thoughts on TSM, but I was honestly a little shocked and stopped what I was working on to make this video you're seeing right now. There aren't a lot of academy teams in Valorant, mainly because organizations are only allowed one main roster and one all-women's roster for any Riot-sanctioned events. So having an academy team means that those players don't get to play in the biggest and baddest events and get the necessary practice that comes with playing in those big events, these being the Challengers and Masters series. But as the regular season of VCT is wrapping up, I think we're going to start seeing more academy teams popping up. And I want to explain why I think this is great for both the players on the team and great for the scene as a whole. Welcome to another episode of Off the Dome. My name is Domenic, and today we're talking about Valorant Academy teams. Academy teams are nothing new in the realm of esports. Dating all the way back to the StarCraft days, top players would live in houses with other prospects, who would be forced to practice with top players for 12 hours a day, playing the same build over and over and over again to give the top players better practice. And if they got burnt out, they'd be kicked out of the house. Now, of course, this is very illegal, but nowadays academy teams work much more like feeder teams for the biggest esports organizations. It's definitely most well known in league-based esports like League of Legends or Overwatch because of the limited number of spaces for players in those leagues. In these cases, academy players are oftentimes new or young players that are brought in to properly assess their skill over long periods of time, to field the new top talent and add them to their main roster. They also oftentimes have a league of their own, for example, the Overwatch Contenders or the League Academy tournaments. However, these leagues have academies built into their foundation, so having an academy team in an open bracket circuit is a lot more of a free-form idea. Riot Games doesn't make having an academy team very easy in Valorant, as they've implemented a rule that an organization may only have one main roster for the Riot Tournament Circuit, or the VCT, with the exception being they're allowed one additional women's roster. But since the beginning of 2021, the Valorant Champions Tour has dominated most of the Valorant competitive airtime, with only a few tournament series like the NSG Summer Circuit or the Knights Monthly Gauntlet being relegated to mostly Tier 2 testing grounds, and the Invitational Tournament has basically gone extinct. The only team with a functioning academy roster is T1, which is kind of funny because they're one of the only top orgs without a functioning roster. But they actually saw some good use out of this team during the season, as they picked up an Overwatch star ANS to put on their academy roster to get him up to speed with Valorant. And they even promoted Dawn to their main roster when Spider was injured at the start of Stage 3. It wasn't until recently when we saw their team play publicly in the NSG Summer LQC, where they went 1-2, losing in group stage to unknown teams. And here lies the big problem with having an academy team in Valorant. Restricting these players to side tournaments and only having them practice against the main roster, and maybe some scraping against top players, doesn't give them the experience they need to become stars. Remember, these players are on academy teams because of their lack of experience, and if they were that good, it'd be more beneficial for them to form their own team and play in as many tournaments as they can. Valorant doesn't have a franchise league. The VCT is an open bracket system, which means that anyone can enter. And being on an academy team is one of the only ways you cannot enter this system. Valorant is also full of hungry players. While we've already seen a lot of standout stars like TenZ, Asuna, Ye, and Wardell, we're seeing new players pop up every month that are challenging the top of the competition with their experience just in solo queue. An academy team sounds like a great place to prop up these new players, but without being able to compete on the biggest stage, it's better for them just to make their own team. And think about all these transfers we've seen between Stage 2 and 3. With a less developed competitive scene, teams need the edge if they want to make it through the unforgiving VCT system, where one bad loss can end your advancement for multiple months. Getting a proven winner is more important than taking a risk on an inexperienced player in this situation. In my opinion, fielding an academy team in Valorant during the VCT season seems to be a bad decision for the players on the team and a poor use of money for the organization. So then how come TSM just announced their new academy roster? Despite the cons I've just described, an academy team does have a breadth of pros. And now that the VCT regular season is winding down, I think we'll see a few other big orgs take a similar approach. Now let's talk about TSM's academy team specifically for a second, as it's made up of experienced Tier 2 players coming from Noble and EZ5. Decop, Payan, Precision, ZK, and B-Dog have all been playing in VCT and Tier 2 tournaments for a while now. They've had some great performances, with Noble even beating TSM in Stage 3, and previous Noble members going on to great teams like Zek and Xset, and Levi to the TSM main roster. But now that the regular VCT season is done, they can no longer prove themselves at that top level, as the top of NA go on to play at events like Masters 3, the last chance qualifiers for Champions, and Champions itself. This is where TSM comes in, as TSM gives them the opportunity and the resources to continue to excel as a team for the rest of the year. What the players and coaches get is an opportunity to keep getting paid to play the video game. They keep getting access to practice partners in TSM, as well as other resources that TSM can offer with their $210 million, whether it be additional facilities or trainers. What TSM get out of it is acquiring a proven Tier 2 team. They can field new talent through this team by promoting or selling current players and having new talent enter the academy, with the difference being that this is an already developed team with experience, both in the VCT and many tournaments. The cornerstone for success for this academy team compared to T1's academy team is that the VCT regular season is all but over, meaning that having an additional roster is no longer an issue. Since no new teams can enter the main VCT, we'll start to see more tournaments and invitationals pop up with higher and higher talent. And while TSM might still be in the VCT, it's kind of weird. The academy team can help both their team and the organization do better and better. The TSM Academy players can use their branding from one of the biggest esports organizations in the world to get signed to other top teams, or get added to their main TSM roster. For TSM, it's an additional source of revenue from selling players, as well as picking up new rising stars to slot them into their functioning roster. Immortals has been doing something similar with their main roster for a long time now, where they'd pick up solo queue talent, surrounded by a few mainstays like Chemical, Shot Up, and Gangsta, get these players the notoriety that they perform well on the main stage, and then sell them for a profit. While they've fallen off recently as a team, they've had some of the hottest prospects on their team at one point or another, including Asuna, Dicey, JC Stanny, Nature, JMO, Kohler, Bjor, and way more. It seems like TSM is building a similar system with an accomplished Tier 2 team, and can do so because the regular season of VCT is over. This is why I think academy teams for top organizations will start to pop up. Especially during the off season, these teams can thrive off the resources of their larger organization and hope to join a main roster at the beginning of the 2022 season. Maybe this is true, or maybe I'm reading too far into it, but we'll have to see. I think it's something interesting to think about. And thank you for watching. And hey, if you like this whole video, consider subscribing. A dangerously low number of you are not subscribed to this channel. That's fucked up. I make videos analyzing the competitive scene and try to make it at least a little interesting. If you want to get more news updates or follow what I'm doing, you can follow me on Twitter. You can also join my Discord, where a bunch of people join and just talk about esports. It's a fun time, as well as I got some other stuff in the pipeline coming down. So subscribe, Discord, Twitter, all cool. Anyways, thank you again for watching. Have a good one. Peace.